This call is being recorded.
Hello, everybody. This is Leila Sun, a transformational Lyme coach, and I'm here today with Christopher Cody, the creator of the BodyGuard Ionic Foot Bath. And I'm really excited to talk with him about this Ion Cleanse Foot Bath because I have been using it in my practice now for the last 5 years. And welcome, Christopher.
Well, thank you, Leila. It's what a joy to be able to take this moment and have some fun.
This is really exciting, and you know, my clients have always had a lot of questions about the BodyGuard, especially more technical scientific questions as to how it really actually works, and that piece is not my forte. I have just seen it work so well over the last 5 years doing these for myself and clients that I'm just going to hand everything over to you for those people more inclined to want to understand the scientific piece of it and ask you, Christopher, what is a BodyGuard and what does it do and how does it work?
You know, I'm going to try to make this exciting. I mean, I have a tendency to really drill down, but I'm going to make this really short and concise and say it in such a way that I'm pretend I'm talking to an 8-year-old little child and have that. So basically, the BodyGuard is a device that I invented 10 years ago that incorporates two forms of healing, or two forms of scientific, what would you call it, scientific workings, I guess you could say. One of them is, it's an ionic foot bath. We ionize water. In other words, we make hydroxides out of H2O, and that causes your body to neutralize toxins in your body. All toxins have a positive charge, and by neutralizing them, making them zero, your body can naturally get rid of them, and for the next 72 hours, your body is, through your poop and through pee, is eliminating toxins exponentially more than if you're not using the foot bath. The second part of the BodyGuard is a frequency generator. Basically, if you can imagine having a stainless steel pencil in one hand and a stainless steel pencil in the other hand, as positive and negative, you have a flow of electrons going from your left to your right, and they're actually going through your body. And you're changing the terrain of your body all the way up your left arm, across your chest, and out your right arm. And so if you have any type of pathogens or worms or fungus or candida bacteria, unresourceful bacteria in that part of your body, you've actually changed the terrain. They can't live there anymore. A metaphor would be you're sitting in your living room and there's 10 feet of water outside, and you open up the front door and the back door and all this water comes rushing through. You can't enjoy that movie or reading a book anymore because your environment has changed. So that's basically what the frequency generator is and how that works. And we've had 10 years of great experiences with the BodyGuard. So it's the only device on the market in the world that has two of these different ideologies that are enveloped into one enclosure.
Beautiful description, Christopher. Thank you so much. And I only hope I can relate that to clients who come in.
Well, you know, I was curious, you know, how you talk about Lyme's clients, you know, and I think you're the Lyme's queen of America, or maybe even the world, but what is the biggest challenge for your clients in their healing process?
Right. Thank you, Christopher. So I do call myself Leila the Lyme Whisperer, and I do transformational Lyme coaching. And one piece of the coaching that I do is, of course, working with the physical body. And one of the biggest things that needs to be done, of course, is to deal with parasites, bacteria, virus, yeast, fungus, mold, heavy metals, and chemicals. And while many people are able to address the microbial piece, what I really see the need for is more detox of water and fat-soluble toxins. So this is where the BodyGuard comes in with my practice, is I have every single person who has Lyme disease come in and do these detox ionic foot baths. And throughout the years, I started also detoxing their hands as well, and have seen really tremendous results, Christopher, mainly in regard to reducing inflammation, really reducing brain fog, and actually helping people feel what I call peacefully energized. So
Wow.
a lot of Lyme clients will take zeolite or spirulina or chlorella to detox, and that's really just addressing water soluble. What's really missing is the fat soluble piece and pulling those out, which are toxins stored in the fat cells. And the ion cleanse is able to do that. That and the far infrared sauna are two pieces that I see most people with Lyme missing in their protocol. So here they are just taking antimicrobials, whether they're prescription or herbal or homeopathic, and they're dumping the die-off from these microbes into the system, and they're feeling worse because their system's too backed up, their detox pathways are backed up, and they can't get it out. So one of the best solutions I have found, again, is to get people's hands and or feet into that water and pulling the toxins out so that they're no longer auto-intoxicating, and their body can start to maintain some homeostasis. Their energy can start to return. Their brain fog can reduce, and they just can start to have some more energy and sleep through the night much better. When these toxins sit on the nervous system, they just wreak havoc with people on all levels.
I had a situation one time when you're talking about the metals and getting out the heavy metals. I was working at Sky Harbor, and I met a woman there, and I told her that I was manufacturing this device, and so she wanted a demo. So as we were doing the demo, it was time for me to dump the water at the end after 45 minutes, and I walked into the bathroom. I was dumping the water, and if you can imagine, the two stainless steel plates are about a half-inch apart, right? And as the water was coming out, there was literally about an eighth of an inch, maybe a quarter of an inch of black sludge on the bottom, and there was in between the two plates. It was filled with this silty. I mean, it wasn't granularly. It was like silt. It was amazing. And I was thinking, in all the years I've been doing it, I had never, ever even come close to finding that much black, silty stuff. It wasn't granular. If it was granules, that's coming from the plates. But this was like silt. Like you couldn't even feel it. That's how fine it was. Mm-hmm. So I went back to the living room and I said, what in the heck do you do other than work at the airport? And she says, what do you mean? And I said, well, I found more heavy metals in your water than ever in all the years I've been doing this. And she said, well, I've been... For the last 25 years, she says, I've been doing stained glass windows.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was lead. And I'm just thinking, oh, my God, that's amazing. Now, it's interesting because the opposite extreme was working with a chiropractor in Mesa because he wanted a demo. And when I poured and dumped his water, there was not one black, and I did it for 45 minutes. There wasn't one black speck in the water. I mean, zero, like nada. So when I went back into his office and I just talked to him, I said, doctor, I found something unusual that I usually don't see. There is nothing of heavy metals. And he looked at me, he said, well, thanks for telling me. He says, I've been doing intravenous chelation for about 3 months now, and it's nice to know they don't have no, she's not kidding.
No kidding. Wow.
So those are the two extremes that have helped me to understand that we have some very good science behind the BodyGuard here. It really, really works.
Mhm. Beautiful. When I first got mine, I was skeptical. My clients were skeptical. They didn't understand what was coming out, what was really happening. And I had a couple come in and a woman who wanted to do her hands. And I found out that she was a firefighter. And her husband and I were just shocked because the first 5 or 10 minutes of doing her hands, literally, at the bottom of the fire pit is that gray ash, and that's what came out of her hands for the first 5 minutes, was this gray-looking ash that it had looked like it had come from probably a fire that she had been working on with. It was just stunning. Another example was I had a client who had glaucoma. She was about 65. She was a jeweler. She never used any ventilation. She never covered her face. And so we figured that from inhaling all the metals that caused the glaucoma, so we started doing her hands. And when we did her hands, that water stunk so bad I can't even begin to tell you. But after each ion cleanse we did on her hands, her vision started incrementally getting better. And I would say after about the 10th or 15th ion cleanse on her hand, the smell started to go down, and it got less and less. Also, the other thing you can do with the hands, too, and terms of ascertaining heavy metals, and this isn't scientific, of course, is to smell the hands. I know when I first used to start doing my hands would smell for up to 4 or 5 hours after I did the ion cleanse. And then the healthier I got, now I don't even smell it on my hands anymore. And this is the same thing that we did with this woman who had the glaucoma. The smell in the water lessened, and the length of time that her hand smell lessened as well. And long story short, within 6 to 8 months of doing consistent weekly ion cleanses, the wiggly lines in her eyes went away, and she's wearing glasses that she had from 20 years ago.
Wow, that. Thank you for that. That is awesome. That is absolutely amazing. It reminds me of, we talk about the pulling toxins out and how important that is. And I really want to clarify for the listening audience here that, and it's important that they know that the BodyGuard does not heal anybody or anything. But a really nice metaphor is to liken the BodyGuard to a toothbrush. It's just a cleansing device. And when you clean your teeth and when you brush your teeth really well, somehow the bacteria that would normally get in between the teeth and eat away is gone, and you flush it out. Well, that's what the BodyGuard does. And I remember using, there was a woman who had gingivitis, that's inflammation, infection of the gums, and she had a tooth that needed to be extracted. But the dentist, who knew her well, because said we can't take out that tooth with such an infection. She then called me and went to her house. And we put the probes right in her mouth. The amount of frequency, or the amount of voltage is only about 7.8 volts. It's less than a 9-volt battery. And we made it purposefully that way so that people can actually put both of the leads right into their mouth, separated. So you can do it between the left gum and the right gum of the upper left quadrant or wherever. Anyway, what she did for 20 minutes was she put the probes on all quadrants of her mouth and even the front, up and down, lower and upper teeth. And that was on a Monday. And she went to the dentist on Wednesday. He saw somewhat of an improvement and extracted the tooth, but it broke, and so he had to do some sort of he said that he had to do some surgery and and said that with the infection that she has and with the difficulty of the surgery, that I want you to come back on Friday. So she comes back on Friday, and he examines her. He pulls up the tray and focuses the light and grabs his probes and has started probing in her mouth. And his eyes just kind of widen up, and he sets down his instruments, goes into the other room where his assistant is. And as he's walking back with his assistant, almost taking her by the hand, he says, "I need to show you something that I have never seen in 30 years as a dentist." He said, and he started pointing out the gums. What used to have an infection just 5 days ago, he said, now the infection is completely gone, and this new growth, see that gray matter just lining where the gum is and on the tooth? That's brand new growth of new gum tissue coming back. And he was completely blown away. And basically what he wasn't aware of was the fact that she used a frequency generator, that she used that flow of electrons to kill the bacteria. And by getting rid of that bacteria, the mouth heals so very quickly, especially the mouth. The mouth heals very quickly. But the body knows exactly what to do. The healing process is the body itself. That's where the magic is.
That's beautiful. I love that story. That is really beautiful. You give the body what it needs, and it can really heal itself. Thank you for sharing that metaphor. On a similar note, I wanted to share that I've used the probes on externally on my cheeks, using them for one thing, and then actually really feeling them prickle and tingle, and discover that where they were prickling and tingling, and I don't know if this is scientific or not, was where I had either a sinus infection or a dental infection. And so I would very consciously keep them there, with the wet paper towel right over the top there until the tingling would stop. And I have been able to amateurly diagnose when it was cleared up and when it wasn't by how it felt on my mouth. I always kind of liked being able to do that. It felt empowering to me.
Wow. That is nice. I remember that earlier on when I first invented the BodyGuard, I had a couple come in and I asked her if she had any problems of pain. And she said, well, I've had this toothache for 2 weeks. So I said, so she put the probes in her mouth right up against the tooth that had the cavity in it, left it there for about 20 minutes. And she when they came back 2 weeks later, because I didn't ask her about it at that moment, but when she came back 2 weeks later to purchase the device, I asked her, how was your tooth? And she looked at me and she says, well, he says, that's interesting. She says, I had no, from the moment I was with you 2 weeks ago, she says, I've had no pain in my mouth. And I let her know, I said, well, it kills that bacteria. And here's something interesting, and this is a personal experience. When I ever have a cavity, and it's not that I don't take care of myself, I do, but if I do have a cavity and I know it's I can feel it, I will put the probes in my mouth and I'll kill that. What will happen is what the bacteria was eating it's darker and it's normally very soft, and that's how they identify cavitation, because it's a soft tissue. Well, what it does when you kill that bacteria, it turns hard, because it is the calcium that creature was eating, and once the creature's dead, it goes back to the hardness that it was before they started eating away of it. So it's really interesting the way that whole thing works.
Yeah, this whole notion of detox and how detox is so incredibly important for reducing pathogens, especially with people who have Lyme, because Lymes usually start out with Epstein-Barr virus and some sort of environmental toxic exposure to aluminum or lead or radon, asbestos, etc. And when you have those excess heavy metals and pathogens in your body, it causes a really acidic terrain. And when you have an acidic terrain, it causes inflammation. And of course, when you have inflammation, you have pain. So one of the quickest ways that I have seen to reduce pain in my Lyme clients is to reduce the acid from their system, which is really by using the ionic foot bath, either on their feet and or their hands. And the results have really been tremendous. And the four biggest results that I have seen from the ionic foot bath, and I've been recovered from Lyme now for about 5 years, and I have to tell you, I still use the ion cleanse. I do about an hour on my feet and half an hour on my hands. I wouldn't suggest that for people who are just starting. But reducing pain, reduces brain fog, reduces inflammation. I have one client who comes in when she can't sleep. She'll do an ion cleanse. I guess she's just had an overload in her nervous system, and she does the ion cleanse, and she always tells me the next day she sleeps like a baby. It lasts for months. Sometimes she only comes in, 3 to 4 times a year. It's just really incredible. For people who don't have Lyme, they always leave what I call peacefully energized. There's just this anxiety or tension or depression or sadness. And when you pull those toxins out of the body, I don't think people realize how much those toxins contribute to your mental and emotional lack of well-being as well. So when you pull them out, you can just literally see people, the stress just leaves their body. They're able to handle their life more. They're just energized. They're relaxed. They're calm. They leave the room in a completely different space, and it's such a gift to watch that.
Nice. Oh, that is awesome. Well, I'll tell you, this has been so good, and I'm grateful that we've had this opportunity to just share ideas about the BodyGuard and about the frequency generator and the ionic foot bath. And do you have any other questions or concerns about the BodyGuard that you'd like to share? I would like to share, after you share your ideas, a special that you told me about that you'd like to offer, and I'd like to give the details of that. But I wanted to ask you if you had any more questions or comments before I went into that part.
Yeah, just reviewing my notes here, actually, Christopher. And I think I covered most of what I really wanted to today and shared what I wanted to. And I'm sure some people have some questions out there. I just know that as a Lyme practitioner and working with people who have chronic illness, the detox is key. And from my personal experience and professional experience, the ion cleanse is really one of the best pieces of equipment you need to have in your house. In fact, I work with people all over the country, and I'm fortunate enough to say that a lot of people already have a far-infrared sauna. And when they do add the ion cleanse to their protocol, it really takes them out of the hole from Lyme, and they really start to see tremendous results and get much better much quicker by doing this. So that was one of the reasons I'm really having this conversation and interview with Christopher, because I am quite enamored with Christopher and the ionic foot bath cleanser, and wanted to share this more with my clients and let people know. I see a lot of Facebook posts out there asking about them. Do they really work? How much are they? Where can I get them from? And so I wanted to take this opportunity to share this information with you. So if you're interested, Christopher has some more details about our offer today.
Why don't you share your phone number? In the event that there's people out here who don't know you, they can give you a phone call, and at least you'll have a contact information. Why don't you? What number would you like them to call you on?
Sure. What I'd like to do is have them contact me at my email address, which is sun, S-U-N, at leilasun.com. And Leila is spelled Leila, and Sun again is S-U-N. And my website is www.leilasun.com. And you can also reach me on the website contact form and read a little bit more about what I do there. And the same, Christopher, how would you like people to contact you, and what is the website that they can reach you at?
The website is ilovemybodyguard.com. ilovemybodyguard.com. And there's my number. People can call me. I take phone calls. I'm constantly fielding phone calls for people who have questions, and that's my job. It's 480-721-2657. Again, 480-721-2657. And that special that you mentioned to me before we got started, that you're going to offer the BodyGuard to anyone who's listening to this or someone that they might know. It's for, rather than the $16.95 plus $20 of shipping, you're going to knock off $200. So I think you mentioned it'd be $14.95 plus $20 shipping, and
correct.
They can go out. Let me share with it's a link that they have to type in, and here's the link. It's www.7minuteshift, the number 7. So it's www.7minuteshift.org, /special. That's all you have to do is /SPECIAL. So, that's what it's going to, and they can go out there and click on that, and that'll be we'll call it the Sun Special. That'll be great.
Yeah, and the other piece I really need to add to this is I have 2 different ion cleanses in my practice that I use, and I have researched dozens of ion cleanse devices. First of all, Christopher's is the better one of the 2 that I use, and he has developed the only one that has the frequency generator or right frequencies on it. So you're not going to find that anywhere else. We really didn't get to talk about this much, Christopher, but while you're holding the probes and they're putting out a frequency that's making the inner terrain less conducive to viruses, bacteria, pathogens, parasites, and reducing chemicals and heavy metals and die-off from the pathogens, it's going right into the water. There is no other device that has both of those pieces going on at the same time. So hands down, that is probably one of the biggest reasons I am thrilled with this device and really want to share it with everyone, especially Lymies out there.
Great. Well, that's the time we have now. Thank you so much. This has been great. And
beautiful. Thank you. And stay tuned. I think we're going to do some more talks. So if you're interested, send me an email, and I'll put you on our list and notify you when we have another podcast going on. Thanks so much for listening. Take care.
Bye now.